Please stop pushing. I can't take this anymore. The concert venue is packed tight. A man behind me keeps pressing into my backside. I'm wearing a mini skirt today with a thing underneath, and it only makes the situation worse. He lifts my skirt and presses himself against my hips. As the atmosphere heats up, someone in front of me slams into me, and I stumble back a step. My body stiffens as I feel like something just slid inside me. Chapter 1. My name is Winnie Miller. Recently, my company required frequent business trips, so I decided to get a driver's license. It just so happened that my husband's friend, Logan Reeves, was a driving instructor. He said he wouldn't charge me for lessons. On the day of practice, my husband, Daniel Miller, told me to dress nicely. After all, a wife's appearance is often seen as a reflection of her husband. I thought about it for a moment and put on the tight, short skirt Daniel had bought for me. It hugged my curves closely, outlining my full, round hips. The fullness of my chest swayed as I walked, rippling like water. Daniel stared, his eyes practically glued to me as he praised me again and again. Good, good, good. You look amazing in that. Logan is going to be so jealous. I shot him an annoyed look. Aren't you worried some other man might set his sights on your wife? After pulling on my stockings, I headed to the driving school. When I reached Logan's car, I bent down and knocked on the window. Coach Logan, I'm here for my driving lesson. Logan rolled the window down, his eyes fixed straight ahead. I lowered my head and immediately realized why. When I bent over, my skirt had ridden up, exposing a large patch of fair skin. I quickly covered myself with my hand. You're Winnie, right? Get in. Daniel is my buddy. I'll make sure to teach you properly. I guarantee you'll pass in one go. After I sat in the passenger seat, he patted my thigh. Watch carefully. Left foot presses here, right foot releases. When the car starts to shake, that's the friction point to half clutch. Come over and try it. After stepping on the clutch, I couldn't control the pressure properly and stalled the car. I tried several times, but it stalled every time. Logan couldn't watch anymore. He grew impatient and directly placed one hand on my thigh. I didn't know if it was my imagination, but his broad palm seemed to deliberately rub against my stocking thigh. My nerves instantly tightened. I'll teach you how to control the pressure. When I press with my hand, you release the brake. The closeness only made me more nervous. I hesitated and said, Coach, this isn't appropriate. My husband is your close friend. Touching my leg like this. He laughed loudly. What's there to be afraid of? I'm only anxious to teach you well because of Daniel. I'm not taking advantage of you. Other students don't even get this kind of attention. I relaxed a little. With his guidance, I stepped on the clutch. The car began to shudder gently. Suddenly, his hand pressed down harder, gripping my thigh firmly. Don't move your foot. This is the point. Then slowly release the brake. This was the first time in my life that another man besides my husband had touched my thigh. Even through the stockings, I could feel the warmth of his palm. A strange flutter stirred in my chest. My nerves snapped. I released the brake too quickly, and the car lurched forward violently. Logan slammed on the instructor's brake. The sudden force threw my body forward. His hand slid straight under my skirt. My entire body jolted as if struck by electricity, numb and tingling all over. The humiliation was overwhelming. Logan withdrew his hand and looked at me. You have to release it slowly. Don't be nervous. Let's try again. I took a few deep breaths. This time, the car finally started smoothly. Next came reverse parking. That completely defeated me. I tried again and again, yet the car never went in properly. Either I crossed the line or parked crookedly. Not once did I succeed. Logan shook his head. With skills like this, you could practice for 10 years and still not get it. His words made me anxious. What am I supposed to do then? I have to start traveling for work next month. Not knowing how to drive won't work. Logan stroked his chin, his gaze openly leering. There's a way. Sit on my lap. I'll teach you step by step. You'll learn fast. My heart skipped. Sitting on his lap was far too intimate. If Daniel found out, there would definitely be trouble. Isn't that inappropriate? Sitting on your lap is too close. Daniel probably wouldn't agree. Logan took out his phone and called Daniel. Hey, Daniel. Winnie has been practicing for 3 hours and still can't get it. I'm thinking of having her sit on my lap so I can teach her step by step. Do you agree? To my shock, Daniel agreed without hesitation. I trust you. As long as you can teach her, sitting on your lap is nothing. Then he hung up. A ball of anger swelled in my chest. How could Daniel be so careless? He didn't even mind his wife sitting on another man's lap. Since he felt that way, I decided not to hold back either. With a sense of retaliation toward Daniel, I sat down on Logan's lap. I deliberately shifted my hips back. I could clearly feel something hard pressing against me. My face instantly flushed. Logan was unbelievable. It felt harder than steel, unlike Daniel, who had been limp and useless for so long, leaving me unable to feel like a woman. I held the steering wheel with both hands. Logan reached around and covered my hands with his, teaching me how to turn it. He started the car and deliberately held it at the half-clutch point, making it vibrate violently. His member moved with every vibration, thrusting against me again and again. The sensation was overwhelming. My face burned all the way to my ears. Heat surged through my body, as if ants were crawling inside me. I couldn't stop myself from letting out a muffled, breathy moan. Chapter 2. When I finished speaking, the man leaned toward me and whispered in my ear, is it exciting, the way I'm pushing against you? The shame was overwhelming, and I was on the verge of crying. I'm a virgin. I've never done that kind of thing. Please, let me go. He didn't stop. Instead, his gaze burned deeper as he seized my waist, the pressure growing stronger. You're really a virgin? Then let me show you what it feels like to be a woman. For reasons I couldn't explain, his words didn't spark resistance right away. They stirred an expectancy instead. I wondered what was wrong with me. I'd explored my body in private, only to find the experience empty and unfulfilling. Sometimes, I even wished for a man to ease that discomfort, but never under circumstances like these. He kept pushing forward, the insistence of his body driving hard against my thong. The fabric was already forced inward. My thing offered almost no barrier, and his warmth was unmistakable. Sensation rose in slow waves, moving through my body and leaving my limbs unsteady. Fear and anticipation twisted together inside me, my resolve rocking between them. He approached without haste, holding me from behind as his hands moved from my waist to my chest. The pressure of his touch intensified everything. I felt myself grow weak, as though my body were yielding to it. It was the first time a man had touched me in this way, and the first time my body reacted without my understanding. The pleasure rose gradually, wearing down my resistance. resistance as it spread. Then he released me. I had been giving into the sensation, and the instant his hands were gone, I felt empty and laid bare. Moments later, his hand traveled lower, gliding under my skirt. He pinched the edge of my thong and gently pulled it aside. In an instant, the most private part of me was left open to the air. No, no, please don't, I blurted out. He continued to caress my butt with his hands, intentionally provoking my body. I know, when women say no, they mean yes. I barely dared to breathe, knowing that the way he was holding me meant he could enter me at any moment. I clenched my body tight, sealing myself off, or he'd have an opening to force his way in. The man stayed calm. He hooked his finger and teased me there with slow, deliberate movement. The sensation drove inward, so intense it nearly shattered my control. He raised his finger between us, examined the dampness on it, and said, "Stop pretending. Anyone who wears panties like this is obviously open. Look at you. You are already wet. Stop forcing yourself. Let go and feel what being a woman is like." The humiliation deepened until I felt completely exposed. "You are going too far. Aren't you afraid I will call for help?" He showed no fear. If anything, he seemed energized by it. "Go ahead. You could scream until you lose your voice and no one would notice." He was right. The noise in the venue was overwhelming, and even with his mouth close to my ear, his words were hard to catch. Panic and shame tangled inside me as my body started to betray my will, the tension I was holding starting to ease. Just then, a wash of light from the stage spilled over us, and our figures filled the giant screen. The man pressed himself against me and wrapped his arms around my body. To anyone watching, we looked like a couple. Even the celebrity on stage played along. Wow, our camera just caught a couple in the crowd. The man used the moment to kiss my cheek, and a small wave of excitement rippled through the audience. My face burned with embarrassment. When the camera finally moved on, I couldn't hold it back anymore. "You are out of your mind. All those people were looking at us." He simply smirked and brushed a kiss against my ear. "Everyone thinks we are a couple now. You might as well go along with it." My ears had always been the most sensitive part of my body, and when he kissed me there, my resistance faltered. The tension in my hips began to loosen, and he immediately took advantage of it, pressing forward. He glared through me, and I clenched down instinctively, holding my body tight around him and preventing him from moving any farther. We were caught in a silent struggle. He clearly had the upper hand, advancing little by little until he reached my most sensitive point. I knew that if it continued, I'd lose my first time to him, and I couldn't accept that from a man I didn't even know. Panic drove me to action, and I pinched his thigh with all my strength. He reacted at once and released me. I barely had time to draw a breath when the crowd suddenly shifted. People all around me began jumping in time with the music. Someone ahead of me stumbled and collided with me, forcing me backward. I tensed without thinking. Then, a strange sensation surged up inside me, hot and unrelenting. My eyes widened. Oh no, it had already gone in.